Yeah, that was exactly it. So, but 30p is just absolutely ridiculous. I mean, I don't know what planet that politician was on.
Well, the thing is, I mean, somebody brought it into stark relief by texting some while ago. 30p is the price of an egg. It's a boiled egg, isn't it?
Yes.
Which is a fine lunch. I mean, I can survive on a boiled egg at lunch, no problem, because it does fill you up, but not for breakfast, lunch, and dinner.
Yeah, exactly. So back then, I could do. So I'm going to sound like the educational minister of this, but I used to survive on more or less £120 a week on the food. I used to have about £70 that I used to spend on my booze, and the rest went on accommodation.
Right.
And I lived okay and comfortably. And the only thing is, I did it because I was in my 20s. So there was another thing. There was another factor. You have to live on the same food, and you have to realise, hey, I'm in my 20s, so this is an adventure.
Yeah, it doesn't really matter. Yeah. You spent 70 quid a week on alcohol?
Booze?
No, a month. No, that would be fine. No, it's a month. In the student bar, a pound a pint, that kind of thing. Yeah.
Well, I still don't have sight of the wine list at the House of Commons, but I know how much their food is, more or less. Traditional beer-battered cod, hand-cut chips, mushy peas and tartar sauce. What would you pay for that in a grand dining establishment?
£50 plus per head.
Oh, come off it. Cod and chips?
Oh, sorry. Oh, right. Well, yeah. I get sort of places I go to.
50? We're not talking about the Ritz. Although, if you compared where they're eating with another establishment, then the Ritz is right up there, isn't it? Because I would imagine that the service is more or less the same. The surroundings are certainly even grander at the House of Commons. So, yeah, all right, then, 50 quid. £50 to those that can't afford it. Very expensive. To those that can afford it, very cheap, £7.33.
What?
£7.33. Do you believe that, Richard?
No, I can believe it. I think that place is just absolutely awful. And by the way, Nick, can I just say,
yes,
the thing that was missing from that Queen's speech, which I want, is the inquiry. Where is it?
Oh, well,
they promised it for so long.
As soon as the inquiry has been printed and is ready to be released, they will instigate another inquiry into that inquiry, so they won't be able to release that inquiry until the other inquiry has released its report. And I hope that that's clear. Thanks a lot, Richard. Mini sirloin of beef with mini steak and kidney pudding, roasted baby carrots, Savoy cabbage, potato terrine. I mean, all of these prices are about a quarter of what they actually should be, because us poor dopes that pay taxes are subsidising their victuals. You can believe that. £9.19. It is like living in the 1970s. Mini sirloin of beef, mini steak and kidney pudding, roasted baby carrots, Savoy cabbage, potato terrine. I mean, the amount of... Never mind about the prices. The amount of effort that has gone into each of these dishes. This is not some bloke out the back there who's just heating stuff up that's come in on a lorry. This is this complicated stuff. They must have dozens of people in the kitchen producing this stuff. I mean, there'll be a guy that does the beef. There'll be a guy that does the pastry for the mini steak and kidney pudding. There'll be a bloke that does the baby carrots. There'll be another one that does the potato terrine. There'll be a separate person who's on the fish and chips stand. There'll be the pan-fried salmon bloke or woman, sexist. And I haven't even got to the desserts yet, because they'll have a pastry chef as well. Struth, the amount of money that it must cost. Very expensive to those that can't afford it. Giving it away to those that can. Mark texts, when I was at university, my flatmate phoned her mum to ask how long it takes to bake a potato. Her mum said about an hour. My flatmate duly put the potato in the in the microwave.
Oh, no.
And set the timer for 60 minutes. I think the timer had got to about 37 minutes when the fire brigade arrived to extinguish the fire in our kitchen, says Mark. Let's have Manchester. Hello, Louise.
Oh, hi there, Nick. Good
Louise.
show. Great show.
Oh, Louise, I've just... Wait. I've just seen what time it is. Can I come back to you in a minute?
Surely can.
What a very cooperative customer. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
0345 6060 973. Text 84850. Email nicka@lbc.co.uk. If you're on Twitter, it's @LBC. Friday, Saturday, Sunday night at 10. Nick Abbott, LBC. It's 11:30. The news headlines with Jack Foster.
Nick Abbott on LBC. Call 0345 6060 973.
Well, let's get back to it.
And by it, I mean Louise. Yes, Louise.
Hi there, Nick, again. Right, yes, you're quite right. If you have an egg for all your meals, you get egg-bound. That's not very good, is it?
You get what?
Egg-bound.
Egg-bound?
Yeah. Your insides will get egg-bound.
What's egg-bound?
You get constipation.
Oh.
Okay, yeah, now...
Well, I can have one egg a day, though, right?
Yeah, if you like them.
An egg a day helps you work, rest and play.
Right, if you say so. That's good. Right, okay. Yeah, House of Commons, Parliament restaurant.
Yeah.
Do they do takeout?
Slow cooked pork belly with pancetta and root vegetable spelt, crisp kale and salt baked swede. How much?
No, fish dish for me, please.
What? Can I interest you in a slow cooked pork belly with pancetta and root vegetable spelt, crisp kale and salt baked swede?
I don't like pork.
Right, well, I'll just take the pork off then. How about pancetta and root vegetable spelt, crisp kale and salt baked swede?
That will do many of us nicely. Thank you.
Right. Well, you can't have it.
Oh.
You have failed to become a minister of Her Majesty's government.
I did try once.
Did you?
Yes, did.
How did that, what policy were you applying for people's votes with?
Well, it's funnily enough levelling up in the north.
Oh. Well, fortunately, fortunately, that's already it's already been done. We are totally levelled up now.
We certainly have been done again. Yeah.
We've been done. Yes. All right. Thanks a lot, Louise. 0345 6060 973. Max texts, when my daughter was at university, one of her flatmates was heating his tin of beans in a saucepan. Unfortunately, he hadn't even opened the can. Could have turned into a bomb, says Mags. What an idiot. Leanne says, is it British culture or just people having no time nor skills in home cooking? Back home in the Netherlands, people have little time and couples will be both working, but home cooking is still done every day and takeaways are regarded as an occasional treat, says Leanne. Yeah, that is true. We have among the worst diets of anywhere in, certainly in Europe, with the obvious consequences, as a certain Bodge will attest. Ain't that right, Bodge? Yes. I mean, that Lee Anderson bloke, I don't want to agree with him in any way, shape or form, but there is a kernel of truth in that some people do actually need to be taught how to cook. I mean, you don't know until you get taught, right? What is weird, though, is that there's so many TV shows on about cooking that people just don't, they watch them, but it's almost as though they don't take in the how to cook part, they just take in the sort of food porn bit. Teresa says, but as for the 30p a day, 30p a day, yes? No. Teresa says, have you seen the reports of Oliver Dowden donated a signed bottle of champagne for Bodge? It says it's hugely valuable as a souvenir from Partygate and the exemplary behaviour and morality of our dear leader. Yeah, well, according to Oliver Dowden, he had no idea that that was the message appended to that bottle. But that bottle was pretty truthful in every way, shape and form. Yeah, a very good souvenir of those orgiastic shenanigans.
Booze.
Correct. Something to remember 'em by. Nottingham. Hello, Richard. Richard.
Good evening, Nick.
Yes, sir.
How's LBC's bad boy tonight?
I don't know. He's not here.
I've solved 2 problems for you in one.
Go on, then.
Jane Oliver says we've got a children's obesity crisis.
Yeah.
Wokey O'Brien is always whinging on that people can't afford to feed the kids. Just swap the kids over.
Swap the kids over.
Yeah, give the fat kids the ones that can't afford to feed them, and they'll lose weight.
Yeah.
And give the ones that can't afford to feed to the people that obviously can.
Give the fat kids to the people that can't afford food, and they will lose weight. And give the thin, the poor kids to the people that can afford the food, and they'll get fat.
Yeah, well, they'll put some weight on.
Put a little bit of weight on. Wow,
Yeah.
you've solved society's problems.
Health Minister now.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, never mind about health minister. I think you can be prime minister. Can you start first thing Monday morning? First thing Monday morning.
Only if there's a party involved.
Only if, there's bound to be one coming along anytime soon. Bring your dancing shoes, Richard. You'll need them. All right. Thanks a lot, mate. 0345 6060 973. Very offensive call. And I apologise.
I am very sorry that I screwed up.
Totally screwed up. I am so sorry. Andrew texts, these are still yesterday's texts, by the way. I still haven't got to today's yet. Oh, wait, look at that. Only one to go. Andrew texts, talking to David Bowie in the early 1970s as he was becoming successful with his early albums. He lived in Beckenham. Yeah, he did. My wife, who was a schoolgirl at the time, lived up the road, used to knock on the door of his house, and either he or Angie, to whom he was married at the time, would answer the door. My wife asked him to sign the covers of his early albums, which he did. Loads of her school friends used to ask her repeatedly to do this, so all of her mates have all got original signed David Bowie albums, but she never got her own album signed. Big mistake. Huge, says Andrew. You know, towards the end of his life, for decades there, he lived in New York, and he just apparently used to walk about like a normal person. I mean, of course he did. I mean, because he is a normal person. But it just seems a bit bizarre that David Bowie would walk into a supermarket and buy, breakfast cereal. It just seems a bit ordinary, doesn't it? But apparently he did. He used to go and get a coffee and a sandwich or whatever, and they used to call him Mr. Bowie. How you doing today, Mr. Bowie? Like a regular Joe. Weird. It is odd. I mean, he was kind of the last of the pop stars that was sort of extra human, like those old Hollywood stars who were on a pedestal. They weren't human either. You couldn't really ascribe human characteristics to like Elizabeth Taylor, for instance, or Marilyn Monroe. People like that. They were superhuman. They didn't have ordinary human emotions and ablutions.
Disgusting.
They didn't do any of that. Like the Queen. She's another one. Like the Queen wouldn't walk about like a normal person. Wherever the Queen goes, it's like she's floating about 6 inches off the ground. Same with David Bowie. But these days, all of the mystery is gone, isn't it? There's nobody like that at all. Think of a single person who maintains an air of mystery. Because David Bowie certainly did. He's got that in spades. But these days, people are just vomiting out every detail of their life all over social media. I'll leave you with that lovely image while I talk to this person in Watford called Barbara. Barbara.
Yeah, good evening.
Barbara.
I was just thinking about all that lovely food they got in there. And Angela Rayner came to mind.
Oh, yeah.
Because she's always going on about, I was 16 and I was unmarried and I worked in an old people's home. So And we went without nothing. We didn't have any shoes. So that is why she went into there. She wanted to feed her children.
What,
so
like
she sneaked.
Fill her pockets with the food off the plate.
Yeah, she had to get in there a bit sharp, didn't
Very
she?
suspicious.
Yeah.
Somebody needs to go through her bag when she leaves that House of Commons dining room.
So, yeah. Yeah.
Probably nicked a bread roll in there at least.
Well, she could get a load in her mouth, couldn't she?
Oh!
Oh!
Here, Barbara, how much would you pay for this? Slow-cooked pork belly with pancetta and root vegetable spelt, crisp kale and salt-baked swede.
45 quid, and that's bloody disgusting. It's bloody outrageous.
£8.45.
What?
£8.45.
So what makes you think people like me are turning against the Queen? Not the Queen per se, but I'm a Republican now.
The royal family, yeah.
No, I always used to. We've been taught from kids, the royal family, the royal family, the royal... No, not anymore. Once the Queen goes, who's left?
Well,
You've got paedophile.
Oh, steady on there, Barbara. Well, we got... Chaz is next. Chaz, for whom I can't really detect a great outpouring of love from the great British public. But, he hasn't even started the job yet. He's been sitting there waiting all this time. But I think that Barbara had a kernel of truth there, that there will be a certain... there will be a diminution of interest when Her Majesty the Queen goes. She did seem to bounce back from whatever was ailing her the other day that prevented her from going and reading out that great stream of I'm gonnas from the government, because when presented with some horses, she seemed to be in fine fettle. Slow-cooked pork belly with pancetta and root vegetable spelt, crisp kale and salt-baked swede, £8.45. Believe that?
No.
I haven't even got to the pudding yet. Leek and wild mushroom bread and butter pudding with... This is not pudding, but this is, Leek and wild mushroom bread and butter pudding with char-grilled spring onions, roast celeriac puree and rosemary poached turnip. I mean, actually, this is the sort of thing that you would get in a Michelin-starred restaurant. At least that's the way they're describing it. This ain't no rubbish you get down the pub, is it? Leek and wild mushroom bread and butter pudding with char-grilled spring onions, roast celeriac puree and rosemary poached turnip. I mean, for crying out loud, this is their works canteen. And for that lot, £7.33. What? £7.33. I haven't seen the wine list, but I imagine it is equally preposterously cheap. And it's not cheap for no reason. I mean, if they've got all of those people that are making all this fabulous gear, then it will be a kitchen run along the lines of one of the grand hotels. I mean, they're sitting in a dining room along the lines of those that are provided by the grand hotels. So let's assume that the staff are numerous and liveried and excellent at their job. And none of that comes cheap, apart from to the people that are eating there. It's dirt cheap to them because us poor dopes who pay taxes are picking up the bill. It's just amazing. I bet it's illegal for me to actually read this out. It's probably covered by the Official Secrets Act because they don't want you to know how high on the hog they are living off our money. Roast cauliflower and tarragon steaklet with samphire and hazelnut pesto, pickled kohlrabi and aubergine baba ganoush. I mean, it's not like sausage and chips, is it? Egg and beans. No, it's roasted cauliflower and tarragon steaklet with samphire and hazelnut pesto, pickled kohlrabi and aubergine baba ganoush, for crying out loud. £7.33.
What?
£7.33. I'm starving. How about you?
This is LBC with Nick Abbot.
I think he's betraying a quite stupefying ignorance.
Yeah, vegetables of the day, side dishes now. Guess how much? £1.64. Now, I don't know about any of these other things, because these all sounded like particularly fancy dishes, the likes of which, ordinary people like me couldn't get. I go to Pizza Express when I save up enough for Tesco vouchers to get a free pizza. I do not go for pan-fried salmon with a courgette provençal, buttered cocotte potatoes, black olive crumb and a chive cream sauce, because they don't do that. But I do know how much, and because I don't have that kind of food, I don't go to a Michelin-starred restaurant. I'm not Russian, so I don't do that kind of thing. So I don't know how much that costs, but I do know how much a side dish is in a fancy place, and it's about £5 or £6 to us poor dopes who pay taxes, but not to them. To them, £1.64, because they ain't paying for it. We are. Would Sir like pudding? They're all at one price, all £2.71, which is that's decades old, that price. I mean, presumably these are fresh desserts. They weren't made in the 1970s and just put in the fridge. Gooseberry and hazelnut cake, moist hazelnut sponge, gooseberries and creme fraiche. This is complicated stuff. This is not a canteen. This is a fully fledged Michelin star type restaurant. This is a restaurant with ambition. It's trying to impress at prices which are trying to amaze. They must think we're such mugs. Lisa in Kilburn texts, sorry Nick, I listen to you all the time, but tonight I'm watching the Eurovision Song Contest. Brackets, England were rubbish. I thought it was, isn't it Great Britain? Royaume-Uni. He says, I got you on download, so I'll listen later. Love you, Nick, says Lisa. Or is it Lisa? Lisa with an S, not Lisa with a Z, because Lisa with an S goes not Z. Hey, how was the Eurovision Song Contest? Oh, here's another one. Daniel says, did you see the Eurovision tonight? I've never heard so much dross in my life. Well, what were you expecting, Daniel? Were you expecting cutting edge?
Rock and roll!
Because I think you're probably fresh out of luck. Did we get 0 points? Is it over, that thing? Or is it still going on? I hope that we got 0 points, because to get just a few points, that's neither here nor there. There's nothing positive about that. I mean, if you come out with 10 points or something, you either win or you get 0 points. Anything in between is just a bit beige. Do you know what I mean? It's a bit selection of British cheeses. £3.35. The UK could win. Votes are being counted. Get lost. No way. No way. Oh, smug will be all over that. A Brexit benefit. Oxted. Hello, Pat.
Hello.
Pat.
Do you know, if I could be an MP, do you think I could have the money instead of the restaurant? I mean, it would be more useful, wouldn't it? And I could take my own ham sandwich.
Well, at these prices, why bother? It'd be cheaper to get it at work.
No, I'd rather have the money.
Would you?
Well, if we're paying for it, couldn't I have the money instead?
Pat, if you were an MP, you'd have so much money pouring all over you, you wouldn't know what to do with it.
Oh, I could get rid of it. I bet I could find a use for it.
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, you could just throw it out the window.
But I really do think I'd rather have a... Yes, it seems such a waste. It'd be much better, as I'm paying for it, or the taxpayers paying for it.
Yeah, the taxpayers are paying for it, yeah.
Do you think you could let me have the money instead?
Oh, all right then. Just this one. Just for you, though.
Just this one.
Just for you, Pat.
And chuck in a bottle of wine as well while you're about it.
Well, I'll tell you what, I'll do better than that. I'll hand it to
make
you.
sure you vote for the right party next time.
Yeah, okay.
So I can have my free meals.
I most certainly will.
Right.
You can rely on me.
Take care now.
Thanks a lot, Pat. Cheers, my dear. 0345 6060 973. Another unrelated Pat tweets, "Hey, Nick, a remoulade is a three-wheel car. That should clear it up. The people's government is always on our side," says Pat. I'm not sure about that, Pat. Angie texts, "Nick, I didn't have to Google this. Remoulade is a European cold sauce based on mayonnaise. Splash it all over. Although similar to a tartar sauce, it is often more yellowish, sometimes flavoured with curry, and sometimes contains chopped pickles or piccalilli. Oh, well, then I don't like it." She says it can also contain horseradish, paprika, anchovies, capers, and a host of other items. A host? I don't like the sound of that. No, I'll scrape it off. I'll leave it on the side. Scott in Cambridge says, "Hi Nick, Glasgow Rangers play in the Europa League final next Wednesday. Could you wait till we've won it before the earth explodes, please?" Yeah, righto. Well, wait until you won it, and then the earth will explode. Then you'll be happy. Upminster. Hello, Keith.
Hi, Nick. I'm watching it now, and currently Serbia are in first place and UK are second. Germany are at the bottom and France. Seriously, UK have got 283 points at the moment, but they're doing the audience votes. They've done all the judges' votes.
Wow.
There's 5 votes left to go.
Europe loves
Yeah.
us the most when we've gone.
Germany are the bottom with 6 points, and France are second bottom with 17.
Right.
And UK have got 283 at the moment.
Europe has never been so happy with us once they've seen our back.
Next one to go is Portugal. They're just going to do Portugal in a second.
Oh, well,
and then
they
after
hate
Portugal is Ukraine.
Right. Oh, well, Ukraine will probably vote. Did we vote for... Wait a minute. Did we vote for Ukraine?
I'm not sure. Hang on. Portugal just jumped ahead of Ukraine. Ukraine are currently about 7th. Next one to come up is Ukraine.
Oh, now, they can't vote for themselves, though, right?
No, that's right. They're coming on 192 with Portugal on 207, and they're just about to have the votes for Ukraine. And then there's only 4 left after that. 3 left after that.
Right, including who?
Including us, Sweden, Spain, and Ukraine.
Okay, well...
They're just about to allocate the Ukrainian ones in a second.
Right. Okay, well, the tension is isn't mounting over where I am, Keith, but I want you to keep me updated at all times, all right?
Okay, so Nick.
Okay, thanks a lot, mate. 0345 6060 973. Message coming in from next door says, "Ukraine are probably going to win. Do you think we're being trolled?" What does that mean?
Hello?
Hello?
What does that mean, trolled?
Oh, good morning.
She's not paying attention to me. Not answering the questions. I don't know what that means. And neither is there an explanation forthcoming. Never mind. It's just, if I stop talking about it, people will forget that I even mentioned it in the first place. Derek says, "Nick, in some countries in the evil EU, the EU, some companies allow members of the public to use their staff canteens." Really? That's a good idea. Company staff eat in the same place as the unwashed public. Oh. The House of Commons should open up all their eateries so that our unwashed public can get a decent, cheap meal. Excellent suggestion. Yeah, I'd love to. I mean, who wouldn't want a fig, cream, cheese and orange mess? Candied figs, whipped cheesecake, crisp meringue and fresh orange. I tell you what, if the Prime Minister was a pudding, which I believe he is...
Yeah. Wait a minute.
He'd be a fig, cream cheese and orange mess. Hey, Bodge. Yes. That's exactly who he is. And when the waiter comes around, just say, I'll have the Boris. And a port. You have to say it like that as well, otherwise they don't know what you're talking about. What's this show about? Does anybody have any idea?
No.
What has it been about so far? No clue. 0345 6060 973. Text 84850. Email nicka@lbc.co.uk. And if you're on Twitter, it's @LBC. Would you like a creme caramel with a raspberry compote? Classic creme caramel with seasonal raspberries.
This is LBC from Global, leading Britain's conversation with Nick Abbott.
Oh, hello.
Hello. 0345 6060 973. You can text 84850. Email nicka@lbc.co.uk. And if you're on Twitter, it's @LBC. By the way, we stick these shows out as a podcast virtually the moment that they're over. We take the news and the ads out, which means it takes less time to listen to them. You'll use less electricity, and you still won't be able to pay your fuel bill. Unless you live in Spain or France. Here, our bills have gone up by 50%, and they're going up again by £900 in the autumn.
Oh, no.
That's what one of the experts who runs one of these fuel companies said. Going up by another £900 a year this autumn. Can you believe that?
Yes.
Actually, yes. Yes, I can. In France... so I do a podcast with Carol McGiffin.
Yeah.
And she told me that in her place in France, her bill's actually gone down. Yeah, and it was cheaper than ours to begin with. In France as a whole, they've kept the increase in the fuel bills to 5%. Here, it's gone up 50% already. And it'll be going up by another £900 in the autumn, so said one expert who is in charge of running one of these fuel companies. In France, her bill has gone down. Still, never mind, it's just money. 0345 6060 973. I'm sure that the Conservative administration cares for us in some very particular and special way. Bodge. No. Oh, look at this. France. Limoges. Adrian.
Oh, hello. How are you?
Good, thanks.
Right, just a little point. You're going through all these menus and the prices of them.
Yes.
Well, the MPs must get them for free.
Well, it looks like it's a free adjacent.
No, free. Absolutely, because they get an expense account.
Yeah, well, that is true. Yeah, I wonder if they can actually claim these on expenses, so it's 100% off.
Yes.
And they get to charge us for their time while they're eating it.
Yes.
Oh my God! Just when you thought it could, just when you thought it couldn't get any worse, somebody from France calls up. Thanks a lot, mate.
By the way, Macron has put it up to 14%, the electricity bills.
Has he?
Yes.
14.
Just after he got in.
Right. Ours has gone up by 50%, and
it's
about
terrible,
to go up.
Isn't it?
It's about to go up by 900 would be almost another 50%, wouldn't it? So over 100% in total.
That's right.
Wow.
Well, put it like this.
Yes.
I could eat for 30 pence a day.
Could you?
Yeah, quite easy around London. Just go through the bins.
Could you live on it? Yeah, that's right. All right, thanks a lot, Adrian.
Bye.
Merci beaucoup. Paul says, is the secret ingredient in all the parliamentary meals saliva? Yeah, would you like a side with that, sir? Yeah. I bet there's some individuals that every meal they get served in the House of Commons is about 50% saliva. But they probably don't know anything about it.
I don't know anything.
Approximately 50%, I would imagine. There or thereabouts. 50% saliva. Anything with a sauce in it, that's what it is. Maybe that's why some of them look so wan.
I don't know anything.
You know, so they've never had a decent meal in their lives. Ian in Plymouth says, all perks in real jobs went years ago. Why do politicians still enjoy them? Who do I complain to about the outdated subsidies in the House of Commons? I'm going to write a stiff letter of complaint. Yeah, sadly, Ian, you can write a stiff letter of complaint to the very people that are enjoying these perks. And and the answer from them as to the question, can we get rid of these perks, will be...
No.
Yeah, no. It's a no from them. No, wait a minute. I've just done something bad. Well, I know that this is the world's loudest mouse. I am aware of that. I am clicking away. This is me doing work. If you can believe that. Let's have a call in Crayford. Hello, Terry.
Hello, Nick. How are you?
Okay.
Hello, can you hear me?
I can, yeah. Oh, I'm sorry. We're right out of time on that call. That is very sad when that happens. Very, very unfortunate. But, you know, this is a brief for 3-hour show, and when your time's up, it's up. James, the fridge doorman, texts, so sorry to correct you, Nick, but wouldn't he wander over to the fridge, climb inside, and then close the door behind him? Well, I've only just started on tonight's messages, so these messages will be from something I said, in relation to something I said about 2 hours ago. And that was in relation to Bodger. His work schedule at home is wandering around, and he actually told us this. I've got the detailed files right here. One moment, please. You missed the start of the show. Very, very important. It was him going on about... here we go. This is a direct quote. This is Bodger Johnson taking a swipe at people working from home. And keep in mind that this bloke actually works from home. But he doesn't want anybody else to work from home. But he works from home. But he doesn't want anybody else to work from home. But he wants to work from home, but no one else. He said, my experience... He's not even talking about other people now. He's actually admitting this out loud. My experience of working from home, and keep in mind that he always works from home, my experience of working from home is that you spend an awful lot of time making another cup of coffee and then, you know, getting up, walking very slowly to the fridge, hacking off a small piece of cheese, and then walking very slowly back to your laptop, and then forgetting what it was that you're doing. That's what he said about his experience of working from home, and keep in mind, he always works from home. Which gives us an indication, as like a small clue as to why this country is in the state that it is. Although, maybe if he did more work, we might actually be in a worse state. Take the rest of the week off, Bodge. Put your feet up. Relax. You deserve it.
Here we go. Okay.
Yeah, just, kick off your shoes and take a break. Oh, that's right. You weren't actually doing anything in the first place. What a way to run a country, eh?
Dreadful.
Carl texts, are you still playing Wordle every day? You haven't mentioned it for a while. Wordle, making us feel a little bit smarter, one word at a time, says Carl. Yeah, I do. And quite often it ruins my lunch. The other day it was midst. Midst. M-I-D-S-T. Which is about the only one I've ever not got. I mean, midst? Come on. Ruined my lunch. But you know me, I never complain.
Whinging and whining and moaning.
Here is Dunmo. Hello, Martin.
Hi, Nick.
Martin.
Yeah, we lost the Eurovision.
Oh, yeah. Big surprise.
So
Yeah, Ukraine won it. So
what was ours like?
Yeah, sympathy vote.
What was ours like?
It was better than usual, but you know,
that's a low bar.
Yeah. Actually, on the music front, Nick, I've got something, a bone to pick with you about a Stranglers album.
Oh, yeah. Rattus Norvegicus.
That's the one.
Yeah, the bass is up way too high in the mix on that album. It gives me a headache.
Oh, no, the bass on it, that's the great part of it. John Jactor now with his bass. It makes the window panes rattle.
Yeah, it does. It gives me a brain ache. Too high in the mix.
Oh, I love it. I love the low bass. They played their last ever gig near here on 2 weeks ago.
Oh, yeah, where's that?
Near Cambridge.
Ah, right. Cambridge? You're in Dunmow in Essex. That's nowhere near Cambridge,
Well, I've moved up the road to near Cambridge now.
Oh, right.
So,
that's probably a wise decision on your part there, Martin. Get out of Dunmow.
Well, it's Essex, isn't it? Essex is not good for your health.
If you say so. I couldn't possibly comment.
Cambridge is better.
Yeah, no doubt. All right, good work. Thanks a lot, mate. 0345 6060 973. Yeah, Rattus Norvegicus is just way too bassy for me. I'm going to say something controversial now.
Oh, no.
The same could be said for Led Zeppelin. There, I've said it. Sometimes a little bit too bassy for me. Rob texts, my mate bought a Valentine's Day card and cucumber. What? What? Well, maybe it will become clear at the end. Let's press on and find out. My mate bought a Valentine's Day card and cucumber because he likes cucumber and ham sandwiches. When he got to the counter, the assistant joked, oh, no, I can't say that. Gary says, hi, Nick, the solution to food poverty is edible supermarket carrier bags. Your bag for life becomes your bag for lunch. A tasty alternative to pressed duck. That's just a good idea. Erith. Hello, Steve.
Hello, Nick. Thanks for having me.
Steve.
Yeah, did I have that on expenses then?
Did they have what on expenses?
The MPs with the meals you're talking about.
Well, that is an interesting development, isn't it? That they don't necessarily even pay almost nothing at all for this fabulous meal. They actually charge the lot to us poor dopes who pay taxes. I mean, we pay 75% of it to start with. Maybe we pick up the other 25% too.
Yeah, it sounds about right.
Sounds about right.
I was at a hospital last week and I went into their canteen thing.
Oh, yeah.
And I didn't have a lot of money, but their lasagna smelled nice. And I was going to say it looked like a train crash, but it looked more like that orange mess thing that you said earlier.
Oh, yeah, the orange eaten mess.
Yeah.
That sounds more like that.
Looked like him.
But it did smell good, and I like lasagna. So,
yeah.
But it was over a $5.
Right.
I couldn't afford it.
Over a $5 for a train crash on a plate.
The sandwiches start at £3.
Right. Now this is hospital food.
Yeah. For the patients, like for the outpatients, it's like a little canteen. I thought it would have been cheaper to entice people in more.
Well, it would have been it would have been cheaper for you if you actually had something that was serious enough to actually to put you in for an overnight stay, and then you get it for nothing.
That's coming.
Right.
I will have a stay before long.
Okay, well, there's something to look forward to.
I don't mind it actually. It's still all right.
Yeah. I mean, there's better places to stay, but in an emergency.
Can I just tell you one more thing? Sorry.
Go on then.
I'm reading a book about the Cray twins by one of the people that was, and I've got to the bit where and they keep on.
Well, don't tell us.
There was no party. Don't say there was a party, and it's a bit like today, isn't it?
Well, yeah, it's like we're being run by the mafia.
Absolutely.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, don't mention the party. They are, in fact, the don't mention the party. Well spotted there, Steve. Thanks a lot, mate. 0345 6060 973. Text 84850. Email nicka@lbc.co.uk. If you're on Twitter, it's @LBC. I have mentioned her by name once or twice.
Yeah.
Carol McGiffin. And I do a podcast with Carol McGiffin called What's Your Problem with Nick and Carol? Now, the idea of the podcast is that we try to solve people's problems. We're not very good at that. We're mostly good at laughing our faces off and talking about things around their problems, which have actually nothing to do with solving their issues. But every now and again, we come up with a good one. I mean, they're all fun to listen to, but if you're really desperately in need of help, then we're probably not the right people. But if you want to, send us your issue and then cross your fingers and hope for the best, then that is exactly what you should do. You should send it to the following address. nickandcarol@global.com. nickandcarol @global.com. And prepare to be totally satisfied.
Oh, right, yeah.
Total satisfaction is not guaranteed. Always read the label. Terms and conditions apply. Ask for it by name on an internet near you. What's your problem with Nick and Carol?
This is LBC with Nick Abbott.
Hello.
0345 6060 973. Suleiman in Knightsbridge says roadworks are so annoying. I think they're terrible. They're an abomination. I don't mind the sound of a jackhammer. Sometimes it's peaceful. What? You're all over the shop there, Suleiman. Stu in Northampton says, is it possible that the UK are about to win Eurovision?
No.
No. Is this a sign of pity from everyone else in Europe laughing at us because of Bodger?
Yeah. Wait.
Yeah, well, I think that we do provide amusement. You know, now that the world's stupidest human is not the President of the United States anymore.
A president! Can you believe it?
No. Actually, we're still stunned, Donny. How about you, Kanye?
Whoop-dee-dee-scoop-poop.
He's stunned too. Haven't seen much of your husband on the news recently, Melania.
I don't care.
She's not that bothered. 0345 6060 973. Elaine in Galway says, I'm trying to floss my teeth and you keep reading out that ludicrous menu with made-up stuff and I keep laughing and the floss is getting stuck. I had Heinz soup de la jour avec petit pois, followed by le nuts de cashew from Lidl. That sounds adequate. Soup and peas with nuts. Well, it's food. It is food. That much is true. I've talked to this bloke already. Adrian in Limoges. You've been on already, haven't you? And furthermore, he's not even there. Why is he still on the board? No idea. Did you see that thing in the mail, though? I mean, it just went on and on and on and on and on and on. I don't know if it was in the physical paper, but it was online. They had to build another wing on the internet just to get in that massive, embarrassing, suck-up interview with the Prime Minister. You know, him. Trying to revivify his reputation. How's that going, by the way?
Dreadful.
And it's all about the culture war nonsense. They have really figured out that this is the way to get the country back on side. Or at least as many of them as they require to win the next general election. This is what it's going to be for at least a year, probably 2 years. And they're just going to go on and on and on and on and on. I bet they're actually furious that when the players take the knee at the beginning of a football match, that the crowd don't boo anymore. I bet that there's a significant number of people who are actually beside themselves with fury that doesn't happen anymore, that we all just kind of shrug our shoulders and we accept it, and we're not really paying much attention anymore. We just let it go. I bet there's a large number of people who would have loved that to continue, just so that, one side would be pitted against another, and the government could slip in there in the middle, insert themselves into the process, and gain benefit from doing so. But the culture war nonsense that he was going on about was the work from home. The middle class should be hated by the working class. Because, Jacob Rees-Mogg is the champion of the working class. Any fool know that. And he was concerned that the little people, cleaners, security persons, they can't work from home. They have to go. As though that's a logical argument, because they can't work from home. All middle class people must stop working at home as well. What kind of a stupid thing is that to say? Good grief. Is this the best that this country can do?
No.
It can't be. And yet this is what we're stuck with. Well, in this interview, this embarrassingly enormous suck-up interview in the Mail, the Prime Minister ramped up that other wing of the culture war nonsense. That is the only thing that this regime can guarantee will still go over well with their fans. He banged on about lefty lawyers.
Oh, fabulous.
The man at the centre of the biggest concentration of criminal activity in the entire country vowed to change the law if lefty lawyers obstruct plans to send channel migrants to Rwanda. And the reason that they're sending channel migrants to Rwanda is for the very precise reason that lefty lawyers are going to get stuck in, because it's quite possibly against international law. So they'll say that they're going to do something, and then quite reasonably they are prevented from doing it because it's against the law. And then they can claim victimhood. Oh, we're being picked on. We've only got the entire majesty of the state behind us. A country with that turns over trillions of pounds a year. But we're being picked on by some lawyer who earns 40 grand. That's what this is all about. What a nerve. They've had 100 fines in his house. Where else in the country has had so many fines in such a confined space? It is the centre of criminal activity for the entire country. And he's going on about changing the law if lefty lawyers obstruct his plans to send channel migrants to Rwanda. He says he's ready to dig in for the fight against those who seek to block the will of the people. It's not the will of the people. It's the will of a number of people that are so filled with undirected rage that they can be weaponised to back any old nonsense, even if it actually does them harm. I mean, think of the amount of money, your money, that the Tories are spending to appeal to the people that they think can be persuaded to vote for them next time, as long as they are cruel enough to foreigners. The desperate and the needy. I mean, the regime constantly cite Australia as the gold standard of the push 'em back out to sea approach, points-based immigration, that sort of thing. Well, Australia tried this offshoring of asylum seekers too. And it cost Australia, are you ready? More than £5 billion since 2013 to send just 3,127 people to Papua New Guinea and Nauru. Nauru. £5 billion to send 3,000 odd people to Papua New Guinea and some other place as part of a policy that is a mirror image of our own. That is, fact fans, £1.5 million per person. Per person. And this is for a group of people who pass the test of asylum seekers at about 80% of the time when they get here. 80% have a valid claim when they get here. So it's not solving a problem. It's not finding a cheap way out. It's spending whatever it takes to get their fans to stick with them and vote for them next time around. No matter what the regime do to them and how much they ignore their plight, and no matter what liberties they take. Please disregard the last 10 years, because we're being really desperately and unfairly cruel to those people, the dingy people. Bodger said that the first 50 illegal entrants into this country have already been served notice that they will be sent to Rwanda within a fortnight, because that's what Jesus would want. All of these people say that in government say they've been directed by their faith. Really? And when they pray, are they looking up or down? Just curious. Asked whether he might respond with a review of the European Convention on Human Rights, when he said that they're braced for a blizzard of legal claims under human rights laws, from lefty lawyers. Asked whether he might respond with a review of the European Convention on Human Rights, Johnson says, "We'll look at everything. Nothing is off the table." God, that's their favourite phrase. Nothing is off the table. They keep saying that over and over again. In other words, like, I don't know. It's like a pretend smart way of saying, I don't know. Nothing is off the table. And their fans will be on their feet cheering at the very idea of striking out human rights from the law. Right up to the point that their own human rights are trampled over. And then will come the whinging.
Whinging and whining and moaning.
Exactly. It's all lefty lawyers and enemy of the people judges. Well, here's an idea, Bodge. If you broke the law less, you might not get so many judgments against you. I mean, would you consider breaking the law less? In a specific and limited way? You'll think about it. 0345 6060 973. Text 84850. Email nick@lbc.co.uk. If you're on Twitter, it's @LBC. Friday, Saturday, Sunday night at 10. Nick Abbot, LBC. It's 12:30. The news headlines with Jack Foster.
This is LBC with Nick Abbot.
And I can't stand him.
0345 6060 973. Rosalind text, Nick, we came second in the Eurovision and Sam Ryder was great. Who's Sam Ryder? We won the jury votes, says Rosalind. It's such a long time since I've seen it, but there's jury votes and other votes. But the most important thing to remember about this, Rosalind, is I don't care. First time in years I've loved our song, says Rosalind. We made a real effort this year and it shows. You do realise you're talking about the Eurovision Blooming Song Contest, don't you? That show should have been put out of its misery in the 1970s. Like, as soon as Abbot won, then that should have been it. Game's over. You ain't going to get better than that. Forget about it. Like a puppet on a string. Sing! Second. See, that's just weak. Second. Chelsea came second yesterday. Do you think they're happy about that?
No.
Second. Second is nothing. You don't get points for taking part. You either win or you come last. There's some satisfaction in coming last with 0 points, isn't there? But second, that's just almost winning, but not winning. I think Ukraine cheated. We should start a war with Ukraine. Who's with me? Hands in the air. Joe in Camden says, we came so close in Eurovision, the disappointment is like the Euros all over again. See? Exactly right. Basildon. Hello, Tilly.
Yes. Hello.
Tilly.
Hello.
Yes, Tilly.
So I just, I had a little question, I thought. And I thought, when birds land on a branch, on a tree, how do they know that branch will take their weight? So, like, if I'm lying in bed and I look out in the tree and there's a massive pigeon bouncing up and down a tree, when it lands, how does it know that it's going to take its weight?
Well, if it doesn't, though, it can always, as it's plummeting to the ground, it can spread its wings and fly away.
Well, or they hover and didder about. But I just think, when they're like flying about and they think, oh, I'm going to sit on it, how do they know it's going to take its weight?
That is an excellent question, Tilly. Leave it with me and I'll have a full report on your desk first thing in the morning. How do they know? I can't fathom how they can fly through trees, at that speed. I mean, we couldn't do that. We couldn't negotiate our way through a tangle of branches, but they do. They don't even, they can fly into a hedge. They can't even They don't even need to see where they're going. They're so fast. Their reactions are so quick. They're charging through a hedge at approximately, I don't know, so I'll make it up, 1,000 miles an hour. Approximately. And they're so fast that they can weave their way through a hedge without knowing ahead of time where all the little branches are. How do they do that? With their microscopically small bird brains. It's a mystery, as Toya used to say. Excellent work there, Tilly. Leave it with me, and I'll figure that out straight away, if not sooner. George tweets, thank goodness we didn't win Eurovision. Johnson would have claimed it as a Brexit bonus, and then returned to the fridge to have another slice of cheese. Too much cheese, Bodge. You'll never get to sleep. He wasn't finished, though, in that interview. It just went on and on and on. In other developments, these are the highlights, edited highlights. He warned EU leaders he was not bluffing over moves to tear up the Northern Ireland Protocol, which is totally believable, because picking fights with the EU is one of only two things that the Tories have left to fight the next election on. It doesn't really matter what the EU offer. This government will still say it's not enough, because the government doesn't want a settlement. They want a slow war with Europe to kid onto their fans that they're winning. Or, at least, that any Brexit loss is because the EU is being mean to us. No! Thanks a lot, the EU. Without you, Brexit would have been a tremendous success. We wouldn't have had to create an entire person out of cigarette ash in order to find a Brexit bonus.
You're better informed than I am. I don't know anything.
He predicted that Britain could avoid a recession despite gloomy economic data. Oh, well, all we've got to do is trust him on that. Yeah, because he seems like a trustworthy person, yes?
No.
And in another U-turn, they U-turn so much, I'm surprised he hasn't actually screwed himself into the ground. They're delaying a ban on supermarket promotions of unhealthy food. This is another one of their pledges, another one of their promises. I promise to do the following. You only know that what he's not going to do when he promises to do something. He's agreed to delay a ban on supermarket promotions of unhealthy food. And by delay, they mean cancel. I would imagine because the manufacturers of unhealthy foods have been calling them up night and day. A delay on supermarket promotions of unhealthy foods. Yeah, because it's just about the only manifesto pledge that they haven't broken yet. Now they've broken them all, it's a full set. And that pledge, by the way, goes back as far as David Cameron. They've been promising to do that since David Bloomin' Cameron. Hard to believe, by the way, that David Cameron and Theresa May were actually the best that the Tory party had. But now we find out that that is apparently true. Because look what they chose to replace him. I mean, really?
Peppa Pig World. Peppa Pig World is it has
yes.
Peppa Pig
is the right answer. That bloke. I mean, think about it. Doesn't really matter whether you agree with her policies or not, or her approach, or anything like that. But Theresa May. I mean, she seems like a statesperson behind the arm-waving clown that we got running this show at the moment. David Cameron, ditto, really. I mean, I don't agree with him about anything in any way, shape or form, but he did seem like a statesman by comparison. I mean, you go back further than that, it's like a different planet. I mean, John Major. Doesn't matter if you agree with what he did or anything that he believes in. I'm just talking about how he presents himself as a serious person instead of this bloke. That guy. He's our leader. Can you believe that? Can you believe that, Nadeem?
So obviously, but I know certainly, but but obviously,
yes, ran out of time. We'll get back to him tomorrow. I mean, it certainly didn't seem as though at the time of David Cameron and Theresa May that we would get to the position that we're at, with that guy. I don't know what we've done to deserve this, but it must have been pretty bad. But, it's like the good old days with Theresa May and David Cameron, when we were not being led by an amoral pile of dirty laundry. We're still not missing you, though, Dave, in case you're wondering. But we know where to find you if we do. You'll be in the shed where they keep the tools.
I think this is nonsense.
0345 6060 973. Tavistock. Hello, Rose.
Oh, hello. Nick, I just wanted to tell you quickly about somebody was talking about birds going at speed through trees.
Yes.
Well, near here, we've got this tiny church perched high on a rock with incredible views all round it. And every year, at the beginning of May, 2 pairs of swallows arrive. They cross the Sahara and they come to us.
Oh, yeah.
And
they come over here, take up our pews.
They come over here. Take our views, exactly.
Yeah.
You should see them darting around with this incredible view behind them. But they nest in the porch of the church, you see, in the ceiling, opposite corners. And what I'm trying to describe with some difficulty, I have to say, is if you've seen swallows, they dart about at enormous speed and they change direction in a split second.
Amazing.
They just go zoom, zoom. Like angelic spitfires, I think.
Right.
Now, if you're standing near the church door and they want to go in to feed their babies, they'll go zoom and then they'll change direction because you're in the way.
Yeah.
But it's the way they go into the door. I mean, the door itself is not high, but there's also a steel. What's that word? Metal steel grill thing, which can be closed.
Right.
So that's the door of the porch. There's a big door into the church.
Yeah.
In a door, but this metal thing is sometimes closed, and there's about 8 inches at the top of it, which they don't even pause. They come from this view, they go zoom straight through. I mean, how does it happen?
How do they do that?
I mean?
Yeah, exactly right. How can they think that fast with such a small brain?
Yes, exactly. Yes.
It's
That's
mystifying.
all I want to say.
Well, it sounds like you said it. It is mystifying, and it is a wonder, and it just makes my mind boggle every time I see him do it. My brain is the size of an orange. It's about the size of an orange. It's about 10 times the size of those little Tweety birds, and I couldn't do that. Could you?
Yes. No, and I find myself in tears, to be honest, because it is all just so stunning. And
In
you think
tears?
they've come all this way. In tears, yes.
Yeah, not only have they got enormous stamina, which is hardly believable, those tiny little things, how do they do it? But they can also fly through whatever it is that you just described, a tiny little hole in a church door. Can't they do it outside? You think outside would be better. Well, you're describing them nesting inside a church.
Oh, well, swallows always do. They always nest inside, and some people are really mean, and they if they got a barn or something and the swallows have arrived and want to nest in there, they shut all the doors so they can't get in. But not many people are like that.
Right.
But yeah, swallows always go inside. I once had a nest in my bedroom.
What?
But when I was in Cumbria, I thought, what is that pile of dirt just above the window, which I'd left open for airing?
Oh.
I wasn't sleeping in that room. I was sleeping in another one, actually.
Right.
And then the swallows flew through and brought up their babies in this bedroom, just above the window. So I got the local paper to come and have a look. Of course, the flipping birds didn't arrive when the local paper was there.
Well, isn't that typical?
They just had a picture of me pointing at the nest, which was...
Crazy local Tavistock lady points at corner of room.
No, that was Penrith at the time. I get about a bit.
Righto.
Oh, dear.
All right, well, nice talking to you, Rose. Cheers, my dear.
Lovely talking to you, Nick. Bye-bye.
0345 6060 973. I took over a shell in not a shell, but the shell of a flat at the top of a church, and it had been empty for a good long while, to the point that pigeons had actually taken up residence in there. Now there wasn't any evidence of the pigeons when I bought it, but not them physically present. But they had certainly left a lot of evidence of their presence in the past. All over the place it was.
Disgusting.
Horrible. So over the course of about a year, fixed this place up, all nice and lovely. Having not seen a pigeon, in that entire time. And so left some windows open one night, and I woke up the next day and I came out and I thought, oh, what's that on the floor? I don't remember dropping that. What's that? And I looked up and there was two pigeons just sort of up on a beam way up high, just looking at me over the lip of this beam, as though to say, what are you doing in here? What am I doing in here? It's my blooming place is what I'm doing. And there was sort of a momentary standoff. What could I do about it? I mean, they were about sort of 30 foot in the air. There's absolutely nothing I could do other than wave my arms at them. I thought, this will teach them. I'm gonna send my arms akimbo. They'll never have seen anything like it in their lives. And they were actually discombobulated just a little bit, and peered at me just a bit longer, and decided to leave. Their best policy would be to leave through the tiny window through which they entered. Very, very smart birds. I mean, they could have got lost. If it had been a fly, for instance, it would have bashed its head on every other window that wasn't open until it died. But birds can remember how they got in. How can flies be that stupid, by the way? How can they be that stupid and there be so many of them? That's my question to you. That's homework. First thing Monday morning, kids. No excuses. 0345 6060 973. Text 84850. Email nicka@lbc.co.uk. If you're on Twitter, it's @LBC. Friday, Saturday, Sunday night at 10. Nick Abbott, LBC.
This is LBC with Nick Abbott. Call 0345 6060 973. Tweet @LBC. Text 84. Or 850.
Come on, we're running late!
0345 6060 973. Actually, that Peppa Pig thing reminded me of a story that came out this week. Anti-vaxxers have blasted Peppa Pig for brainwashing children after an episode of the cartoon Pig getting a health check was turned into a book, which also sees her getting a vaccination. Furious parents accused the animated Pig of promoting vaccinations in the popular storybook before denouncing the COVID jab as a toxic injection that is the equivalent of child abuse. Furious parents are so angry they could scream at Peppa Pig. Everything's fury. Have you noticed? There's no story at which the word fury is not appended. fury as sun comes up. The fury was sparked following the novelisation of an episode of the cartoon Peppa Gets a Health Check that debuted on television screens last year and comes weeks after the NHS started COVID vaccinations for younger children. Blimey, it took a long time for people to get angry about this, didn't it? In the animated episode, Mummy Pig takes her daughter Peppa Pig to see a doctor. I bet they go in a car, Bodge. Do you know what a car sounds like? Very good. He's our Prime Minister. Can you believe that?
No.
Well, anyway, the doctor measures Peppa Pig's height and weight and looks in her ears and listens to her heartbeat and asks questions about whether about whether she likes broccoli. What's broccoli? I don't know. I got Deliveroo. The doctor also takes a note of the loudness of her oink. That was an oink recorded yesterday. I think this doctor is a quack. The loudness of her oink. In the book version, Peppa gets a vaccination. What kind of a thing is this for kids? Worst cartoon ever. Scooby-Doo used to, hunt ghosts. Peppa Pig goes to the doctor. In the book version, Peppa gets a vaccination. Peppa is also told by the polar bear character medic, "Oh, well, that's the first problem. There's your issue right there. Her doctor's a polar bear." In the book version, Peppa gets a vaccination. Peppa is told by the polar bear character medic, "Now it's time for your vaccination. Do you know why we have vaccinations, Peppa?" Well, yeah, I do. "Oh, me, sir, I do." It's, oh dear, I think I need medical assistance right now, as a matter of fact. You get a vaccination so that Bill Gates can inject a microchip into your brain and then turn you off and on again. You get rebooted for the new world order. At least that's what I read on the internet.
Correct.
Of course, this is serious because children are being indoctrinated by a cartoon walking dinner to get a vaccination when there are no previously known vaccinations that have been given to children. This is why parents are furious. Children have not previously been given vaccinations, apart from the vaccinations for diphtheria and hepatitis B and haemophilus influenza type B and polio and tetanus and whooping cough and HPV and meningitis and pneumonia and mumps and measles and rubella, all of those vaccines. But, apart from those vaccines, there have never been any childhood vaccines before. Not one. In the animated version of the evil Peppa Pig story, Peppa is asked to jump up and down before the doctor asks, "Is Peppa up to date with her vaccinations?" I'm not sure that this actually bears any relationship with the truth. I mean, when was the last time you went to the doctor and the doctor measured the loudness of your oink? Unless that is a euphemism. In which case...
Disgusting.
Also, if a doctor asks you to jump up and down, I'd probably leave. That would be the point at which I say, right, that's it, I'm leaving. In the animated version of the evil Peppa Pig story, Peppa is asked to jump up and down before the doctor asks, "Is Peppa up to date with her vaccinations?" Before Mummy Pig replies, "Yes, she is. That Mummy Pig is not telling the truth." A voiceover then says, "A vaccination stops you getting ill," which is just what Bill Gates would say. Bill! And what does the Prime Minister think of the world of Peppa Pig?
Peppa Pig world. Peppa Pig world is it has
yes.
Peppa Pig
is the right answer.
Affirmative.
Very good, Bodge. How are you going to get there? By car? That's right. He's the Prime Minister. Can you believe that?
No.
It's true. George tweets, thank goodness we didn't win the Eurovision. Johnson would have claimed it as a Brexit bonus. Oh, I'm sure I read that. Return to the fridge to have another slice of cheese. Exactly. This says, to be fair, at the end of the day, it is what it is, and literally are things British people say that are a waste of words. Well, that's just a true fact. And starting every sentence with so or look, which is an MP's speciality. Lynn in Wandsworth says, following on from the pigeon, why aren't fish wrinkled? These are all very important questions. You spend too long in the bath and you need an iron, yet fish live in water, says Lynn. Also, how do they breathe? Literally no one knows how they do that. Graham in Norfolk texts, birds' brains aren't small, birds are intelligent creatures and quite underestimated. Well, either their birds' brains are small or their skulls are like the TARDIS. Pick one. Declan says, birds are like flies. They see in 240 frames per second. They see everything in extremely slow motion. We only see 24 frames per second, says Declan. Ah, yeah, but did they invent the iPhone? No. Stupid birds. And Ben says, Tories, how can they be that stupid and there's so many of them? Yeah, I mean, yeah, how do they make so many of them?
Disgusting.
I don't want to know. Any idea, Nadim?
So obviously the
I'll give it a rest. 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 I'll give it a rest.